It's official. The 2025 contribution limits are available, and that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode.
Let us help you reach your peak in retirement. It's time for Your Retirement Elevated.
It's another edition of Your Retirement Elevated. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Scott Dugan, managing partner, of course, of Elevated Retirement Group, serving you all across the country, based in Kansas City. And yeah, this is kind of some news, Scott, that people had been waiting to hear, where this contribution limit update, these are just tweaks, right? But they are
Correct.
significant tweaks for those who are living off of these amounts or planning for them.
Absolutely. And the things we're going to talk about today are really going to affect the person that's getting ready to retire. Because specifically, if you've got your tax-deferred account, 401k, your IRAs, your 403bs, your 457s, all those acronyms, TSP, that's what it's going to affect. And today we're going to compare 2024 limits versus 2025, and we'll talk about the differences. So positive changes for the most part, moving forward and allowing people to save more money for retirement.
Excellent. Well, let's pull up the slide here so folks can see it, and we'll kind of reveal these as we go and take us through these, Scott, and provide a little commentary, if you would.
Absolutely. So we'll start with the 401k because that's obviously one of the major accounts that people have to put money away. And so for 2024, the employee can contribute up to $23,000 from their paycheck. Now, when we make that contribution, we get a tax deduction for it. So it lowers our taxable income for that year. So example, someone makes $100,000, they put $20,000 into their 401k, that $20,000 goes in tax deferred, and they pay income tax on that 80, minus, when you look at standard deductions, all those things. But it allows you to save that money maybe at a higher tax rate when you are today, and put it away for a rainy day. So next year, 2025, you're going to increase that by $500. So $23,500 will be the contribution limit. Again, as the employee, if you're under 50 years old. And the catch-up provision is 50 plus. Now, there's a couple of nuances here. There's a 50 plus and a 60 to 63. Nothing like make it a little more complicated.
That's kind of a new wrinkle this year, right?
It is a new wrinkle, and we'll talk about when that actually, when that came about and why it came about. But for the catch-up provision, it's $7,500 additional for 2024, and it stays the same going into 2025. And so you're still going to be able to save a little bit more money because it went up $500 on the base contribution, but the catch-up is still that $7,500. Okay. Now the new wrinkle, so that we talked about up to 50 and then 50 plus, and now because of Secure Act 2.0, we've got a 60 to 63 range. And so for this year, it's $7,500, but starting next year in 2025, it goes all the way up to $11,250.
Big jump.
And so if you add that, that's on top of the $23,500. So that's what really called the catch-up provision. And it's designed for later in life when most people, hopefully, have been done paying for kids and college, things like that, and they're their highest peak earning years. It's a time to catch up in putting money away for retirement. So again, nice improvements. And I think it's all going in the positive direction.
Is your retirement journey truly tailored to your needs? In his book, Exceptional Retirement, Tools and Strategies for Retiring on Your Own Terms, Scott Dugan addresses the crucial questions all retirees ask. Discover the power of a clear financial decision-making process that can prevent major retirement mistakes and unlock exceptional opportunities. In the book, Scott outlines 4 essential questions that guide retirees toward successful outcomes. Don't miss out on key insights that could define your future. Available now on Amazon. Click the link in the description of this episode to get your copy of Exceptional Retirement.
So that's the 401k kind of employment contributions, and then you see the totals for the total contribution available to you as we reveal those to you on the screen as well. So, I mean, we're talking now, folks, in that 60 to 63-year-old range, Scott, being able to save over $80,000 a year if they have the capacity to.
Absolutely. And think about it. If you can do that, for a handful of years, that could get a lot of people back on track if maybe they felt off track in retirement. Yeah. But again, and that's per person. So if you're in a fortunate situation where you're high income earning and you're able to defer those dollars, I've seen people in the past that have been referred to us or come to us through a class or through a YouTube channel where they really didn't get started saving until their 50s, but they were able to really buckle down and over a 10-year, 12-year period, really sock enough money away to supplement their Social Security incomes to have the lifestyle that they really wanted to achieve in retirement. So it can be done. And this is the government giving us a little more incentive to put some money away.
Okay. Now, some people have 401ks, 403bs. There's a separate category for those who have access to a 457b, and that contribution also gets a tweak.
It gets a little bump. And so we move from those employer-sponsored, from a 401k, 403b, 457, and then we go into what we call the traditional IRAs, and that could be a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. So a traditional IRA, you put money before tax in there, and the Roth, you put after-tax dollars. And obviously with the IRA, works like the 401k, you put money in, you get a tax deduction, it grows tax deferred, and when you pull that money out, that's when you're taxed. You're taxed on what you put in and all the growth as you distribute it out. The Roth piece, you pay your taxes, you save the money and put it in as a contribution to the Roth. It grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free under current law. And so just like the 401k, there's Roth and traditional. It's the same amount, but it's how you save it from a tax perspective. And that's really the complexity of this. You really want to be working with someone that understands the nuances and understands what are the best options for you in your personal situation. Because there is no cookie cutter answer. There is no rule of thumb that fits everyone. And especially as you go on higher net worth, higher income, and that's a lot of the folks that we're fortunate enough to take care of, these decisions would get more and more important and more critical as those income levels go up. But just like with the regular, $7,000 a year if you're below 50, above 50, an extra $1,000 for a total of $8,000 that can go into a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA per person if you're a married couple. And so again, another way to save dollars for retirement. Now, the thing about the IRA or the Roth, there are income limitations. So you've got to make sure that you're under the limits to be able to put that money in there. And the last thing we'll talk about is just the HSA. The HSA, Health Savings Account, it is a fantastic account if you have access to it. And so if you have an health insurance plan that allows you to make contributions to an HSA, in this year, $4,150 if you were an individual, $8,300 if you're a family, slightly larger next year, $4,300, and then $85,500 will be the contribution. And that money goes into that HSA tax-free. And if you take it out for appropriate medical expenses, it comes out tax-free. So in tax-free, out tax-free. It's a great benefit. One of our clients, we did a strategic planning meeting, which is our review that we do with our clients. And one of the questions was, well, hey, I'm getting ready to go off of COBRA and they're going to be on the exchange for several months. And I said, should we use our HSA to pay for this? We said, absolutely. That's why we funded that HSA in your working years, that last 5 years. We really built up the HSA account so we could drain it down and pay for healthcare in retirement.
Oh.
And if you've got access to it, it's a great benefit to take advantage of.
I bet that's just an example of a way to use an HSA that most people wouldn't even think of.
Correct. They think, oh, let's just put money in and we can pay our co-pays or we go to the doctor.
Right.
And for a lot of our clients, it just makes sense to become an additional savings account. So we don't necessarily take money out of it. Mm-hmm. We just let it build up. And then that becomes really that bridge into retirement.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people, when they get to 60, lot of people are making decisions about retirement based on healthcare expenses.
Right. I might want to retire a little early, but healthcare might be a preventative thing to make that happen. That's exactly where my wheels are turning of, start funding an HSA now, and then maybe you've got more flexibility to retire early and have that healthcare component paid for and covered for in terms of the premiums that you might face in those gap years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
So really to kind of wrap it up for today, as year-end planning, as we're coming into the end of the year, it's almost going to be the holidays. You'll want to look at if you're still working, you'll want to look at how much have you contributed to your plan in 2024. Is there more that we need to contribute to max out if it's possible in your personal financial situation? So we want to make sure that the 401k, 403b, 457, that we get that done by the end of the year. The traditional IRA or Roth IRA, we have until April 15th of next year to make those contributions. So we've got some wiggle room. But like an example, a 401k, we need to have those deposits made, those contributions made by 12/31 to take advantage of that.
Okay, excellent. A couple of different deadlines to be aware of. If you need help navigating any of this, Scott Dugan and his team at Elevated Retirement Group are here for you and here to help. You can get a complimentary review of your financial plan. All you have to do is get in touch with Scott to make that happen. We're online at listentoscott.com. You can also, of course, call the number 913-393-4724. That'll put you in touch as well. Get a complimentary review of your situation. Just ask to meet, ask some questions, go through the initial planning process, and you'll be able to get answers to things like we've talked about today, how to best leverage all of the possibilities that are out there for your specific situation. Scott, thanks for breaking down these contribution limits and the increases that we're facing into 2025, and we'll chat with you again soon.
Looking forward to it.
All right, take care. This has been Your Retirement Elevated. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Are you on the path to retirement but feel uncertain about your direction? Don't let myths and misconceptions cloud your journey. Before stepping into a lengthy retirement, gain clarity and confidence with a complimentary financial review. Schedule a conversation with Scott Dugan. It's completely free. Just click the link in the description below or call us at 913-393-4724. Let's start a conversation about what's most important to you as you plan for a successful retirement.
This podcast has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this podcast is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this podcast is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this podcast. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group, LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group, LLC, and Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC. Walter Storholt and Third Wheel Media, LLC receive compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this podcast.